What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt Taville with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Anthony Joshua, Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn states that if the Tyson Fury fight does not happen by the end of this year, they have other alternatives, and here are the choices. 1, Alexander Usyk. But we know, of course, Alexander Usyk has to get past Derek Chisora, right? The winner of Derek Chisora, Alexander Usyk, of course. Then Chisora could take on Anthony Joshua, one of his stablemates. Dillian White is also another person that that's in the mix, obviously, because whoever wins, if Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua fight, according to Eddie Hearn, they would have to face Dillian White for the WBC. So that's the mandated point. Or unless the WBC organization finds some kind of candy-ass way of pushing that back even further. So we really don't know. So the guys are Alexander Usyk, Derek Chisora, and Dillian White. That's it. Now, this is very doable, but it's very typical coming from Eddie Hearn in Matchroom. If you wanted to put together like a mediocre way of picking out fights, this is what you would pick up or pick out. You know, those are the easiest fights to make. I get it, but I'm not really impressed about that, especially seeing Dillian White fight Joshua. The only way Joshua would fight Dillian White, of course, if he did win the WBC. I get that. But to see that fight again, we could see how Dillian White progressed as a heavyweight. He might get on a win. Who knows? He might catch Joshua with a good shot. Who knows? But we've already seen that outcome. Okay, these guys have fought when they're both undefeated, and Joshua knocked out Dillian White. Okay, now there wasn't no Derek Chisora, Dillian White type of situation where a lot of people thought Chisora won. Some people thought Dillian White won, and they went 12 rounds for a split decision. No, this was a KO. So if you got a KO coming from a fight of that magnitude, the fight that was real big, I think that was at the O2 Arena with those two, it shouldn't really be redone to me. That shouldn't be an urgency. That seems to me like you're just picking that because that fighter because it's convenient. Fight another fighter from another outfit, you know. And if I'm Eddie Hearn, I want to show that I'm capable of making fights and I'm comfortable with making certain fights with other different promotional companies. Let me give you an example. Joshua made a fight with Ruiz because Ruiz begged for that fight, but he was a PBC Al Heyman guy. That fight was made. Joshua in the first fight was upset. Okay? Now, if I'm a promoter and I have confidence in my fighter, you want fights like that. You want a PBC fight. That wasn't the only guy. You had Dominic Brazil. You had Charles Martin. You had Andy Ruiz. So it is not like he doesn't make fights with him. I just think he feels, I don't think he's 100% confident or comfortable with making those type of fights. You know, being a promoter in that outfit, you know, if I'm Eddie Hearn, I want to show that I'm more confident with making fights outside of just the realm of the guys that I can pick. Sure, Joshua can fight a vast amount of guys. It's a lot of guys that he can fight. Yeah, you have Usyk, and, you know, we can do the redo with White. But to me, counterpunching that's basic. And I think they need to look at the winner of Chisora or Usyk anyway. Why? Because the way that fight with Wilder and Fury, they're going to be tied up for the rest of this year. I could have told you guys that. Matter of fact, I did say that. Okay, the winner or the loser, somebody could get injured for Christ's sake. It wouldn't even really matter at that point. It's going to be pushed back to September to give each person amount of time to do whatever they're doing. Especially Wilder. I think it benefits Wilder than anybody else, so he can learn a strategy on how to possibly beat this guy, right? So I feel that that's a decent matchup, but I'm not really highly impressed. You know, if I would want to see anything, it was Usyk and Joshua, which is a very intriguing fight. But then again, Usyk hasn't been tested, so we have to wait until Usyk gets back into the ring. But Usyk himself is he's sustaining injury after injury, right? This is the second time he's been injured. So that's not really set in stone that he'll fight Chisora at that time, you know? And Usyk's one of those special talent people. He's talented to the point he knows his talent. So he knows that he has to be at a certain level or a certain condition to fight. Okay? So if he does get injured, that'll get pushed back. So a lot of things will get just put on hold. Joshua, I feel, needs to worry about Kubrat Pulev. That's the guy in front of him. That's the guy that signed the dotted line. That's the IBF mandatory. And I think that should happen. You know, I think that Usyk is good, but I think we have to see what happens in those fights. The projection looking down the road too far could be too disastrous. But anyway, that's my counterpunch on that, guys. You guys tell me what you think about Eddie Hearn's alternatives for Anthony Joshua. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.